Welcome back. This is the Weekend Report. I'm Masachaba Mposwa. The African National Congress is celebrating its 114th anniversary at Moruleng Stadium in the Northwest today. The party will deliver its January 8th statement, with regaining electoral support, public trust and renewal expected to feature prominently. Now, speaking at the ANC Youth League's National Congress in December, party leader Ramaphosa urged delegates to step up efforts to mobilize youth support ahead of the upcoming general elections, highlighting that young people as a key target for increasing the party's backing. Now, political analyst Rebone Tau weighs in and joins us this morning. Good morning, and thank you so much for your time. Rebone, the January 8th statement is traditionally the ANC's political compass for the year. In your assessment, what is the real political moment the ANC finds itself in as it marks its 114th anniversary?
Good morning, Maschab, and good morning to the viewers at home. I think for me, especially because this, we are going to the local general elections. So, an ANC coming from the 2024 national elections, where we saw them getting below 50%. So this year, really, for them, they will really have to make sure that this January 8th statement appeals to the citizens of South Africa if they still want to retain some of the seats that they have, especially in the metros. If you look at Tshwane, you look at Johannesburg, you look at Ekurhuleni, you look at eThekwini and so forth, where they have seen a decline, and Nelson Mandela since. And what is also very nice is 10 years post the 2016 local government elections, where the ANC lost all those metros.
Now, the ANC admits that over 4 million of its voters stayed home in 2024. What does that tell us specifically about youth disengagement, rather?
I mean, if you look at the challenges that youth face, in terms of the youth unemployment and so forth, that plays a very big role. The issues of corruption that young people see around them, so that becomes a problem.
Now, when we speak about the youth, do you think that the ANC is losing young voters to opposition parties or losing them to political apathy altogether?
Some they are losing to opposition parties, because we've seen how some of the opposition parties have grown, like the EFF. The EFF has maintained that youth vote, and some can argue that MKP, especially in the 2024 the 2024 national general elections, that they also got the youth vote, but you see a lot of also young people staying away from elections.
Sure. Now, Rebone, how effective is the ANC Youth League today as a political incubator for national leadership compared to its historical role in shaping leaders?
I think what is going to be very interesting about this NEC, which I've been saying to a lot of people, that they need to give this NEC a chance, because if you look at from the era of Julius Malema, this NEC is actually led by a lot of COSAs, former leaders, and historically, the Youth League has always been led by former leaders of COSAs. So you look at, for example, the top 6 of the ANC Youth League, 4 of them have led COSAs, and one of the things I was looking at their campaign in the Northwest, building up to this January 8th, like yesterday, I think they had the cleaning campaign, which is also a good one, because that also talk about patriotism, also loving your city, cleaning your street and so forth. And that's what we need, kind of youth that is vibrant, a youth that takes care of their space.
Right. And on that note, when we talk about grooming young leaders, does the ANC genuinely empower young voices?
I mean, they have. I mean, if you look at this NEC also of the ANC, you've got a lot of youth leaders, who are leading the National Executive Committee, or only in the top 7. If you look at the top 7, you've got the SG Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, you've got the second DSG Marupen Ramokgopa. These are the people that have led the Youth League post 1994, and this shows that indeed the ANC is giving space. I mean, look at the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ronald Lamola, he's a former deputy president of the Youth League. So you can see that indeed, if you look at that cabinet, you've got a good number of people who are former youth leaguers.
Sure, but speaking of former youth league leaders, I mean, when you look at the likes of Julius Malema, when you look at the likes of Floyd Shivambu and others who have left the ANC, is this indicative of perhaps the decline of the ANC and the ANC Youth League?
I wouldn't say that it's a decline, of the ANC Youth League, because we need to understand that historical moment of 2011, 2012, and because more especially Julius was expelled, right? And the ANC tried, to mitigate and to avoid the expulsion, but he kept on also pushing the ANC, which led to the expulsion. Floyd left on his own accord, at a later stage, the party, and yes, we've seen in the ANC Youth League that was very weak post the Julius Malema era, and that's what I'm saying. I think this NEC that was elected last year, December, or we could say last month, we should give them a chance. I think this is going to be a very vibrant ANC youth league that is going to give life to the ANC. I mean, for an example, we've had the president of the youth league, responding to the remarks that are made by the national chair of the ANC, Mr. Gwere Mantashe, on the issue of the youth unemployment rate, and we've had also the deputy president of the youth league at their congress telling the secretary general that do not use your systems to suppress us and to make us not to have a voice as the youth league, as we've seen in the past. Now, that's the kind of leadership that is needed, that is decisive, that speaks out when the ANC is not doing the right things.
So, Rebone, what would success look like for this January 8th statement in the eyes of young voters?
I'm not sure even if young voters will be watching, this January 8th statement when the president addresses, well, they could say the members of the ANC, but obviously the nation also, because a lot of South Africans will be watching. But I'm not sure if young people are interested in the messaging, but it will be about the action that will be taken post the messaging of the
let's talk about that action. Actually, I think you make some very valid points there. Now, a first-time voter in 2026 sees, as you've indicated in some areas, no job, expensive data, expensive transport, expensive food, failing municipalities. So how does the ANC win back young voters who see the party as the problem and not the solution?
I think we need leadership that is very decisive if we're going to see the change, within the ANC, because if the leadership is not decisive, and I'll give an example. I've been monitoring Ekurhuleni municipality, and I can tell you that it's a young leader that's leading that municipality, Mr. Xhakasa. We've seen how he's been decisive where people are getting suspended. He's coming up with strategies even to get the money that the city lost, billions, and through that, we're hoping that the money will be utilized properly to also create jobs in the city, and not jobs for ANC members, but jobs for citizens in that particular municipality.
And it's January 2026 local elections, and with just being months away, what would you say are the three concrete actions, or rather two, because you've indicated one already, that the ANC should be taking immediately to show all South Africans that it understands their lives, not promises, not programs, actual visible action?
I mean, what it needs to do, what would also be interesting is to see the new NPA head, who was leading the SIU. It would be very interesting to see some of the cases that are going to be taken up by the NPA in terms of prosecution, because that's what people want to see, and I think this is a legacy appointment for President Ramaphosa. I'm looking forward to seeing the work that will be done by the new head of NPA that will be starting on the 1st of February, because people are really tired of the corruption that has taken place, we could say, over the past 20 years or over the past 10 years, which has been a cause of poverty that we've seen, a cause of lack of service delivery that we've seen, because also people want the improvement in terms of service delivery.
Sure. And before I let you go, Rebone, if this January 8th statement fails to resonate with the youth, what would you say are the long-term implications for the ANC heading into the 2026 local government elections and beyond?
I think it will be very tough for the ANC, and we'll be looking at 2029, that if they don't capture the youth at this point, then 2029 they're likely to get around 20%. If they don't really do the right things. So they have got, I could say, a good 10 months to run a strong campaign to win back the hearts of the people, to make sure that young people go out and vote, but making sure that they also create a conducive environment for business so that more jobs can be created, so that more young people can be employed.
That is fantastic. Rebone, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That was political analyst Rebone Tau.